I'm going to read you an extract from my book, A Boy Called Hope. I'm Dan Hope, and deep inside my head, I keep a list of things I want to come true. For example, I want my sister Ninja Grace to go to university at the North Pole and only come back once a year for 24 hours. I want to help Sherlock Holmes solve his most daring mystery yet. And if it could be a zombie mystery, all the more exciting. I want to be the first 11-year-old to land on the moon, and when I get there I want to say, "One small step for boy, one giant headache for his mother." I want my dog to stop eating planets and throwing them up on the carpet. And finally, the biggest dream of all. I want my dad to love me. The last one is the most difficult to achieve. Even harder than persuading my mum to let me travel approximately 238,857 miles to the moon. To be honest, I've been getting along without him. Not that it was easy living without a dad, but I'd managed to keep my feelings squashed inside. Until today. Today, everything changes. I'm on the sofa eating a peanut butter sandwich when it happens. Dad appears on my TV screen, right under my nose, right in my living room, where he hasn't been for years. At first, the sandwich attaches itself to the roof of my mouth. That's what I love about peanut butter. It's so sticky, it's a wonder they don't put it in tubes and sell it as glue. I have to do tongue gymnastics to stop myself choking. Already, this isn't turning out like a normal Monday evening in paradise. If I could, I would switch Dad off. Flick the button, say goodbye, let him dissolve into blackness. But there's something wrong about making your dad invisible without asking his permission. As if he can read my thoughts, Dad looks up at me. He holds my gaze and nods. To say this is a surprise is an understatement. I don't mind admitting my shock soon changes into something else. A sort of stunned delight at seeing Dad back at 10 Paradise Parade, where he belongs. Okay, so there's a small matter of him being a TV presenter and there being a glass screen between us that wasn't there before. But it's still so amazing that I smile. It is, I believe with all certainty, the smile of a boy whose dad is back in his life. Actually, it's the smile of a boy whose teeth are glued together with peanut butter. When Ninja Grace wanders into the living room and glances at the TV screen, her mouth assumes a stunned goldfish position. "Dad," she bubbles, "is on our TV." Someone give my 16-year-old sister a medal. "What kind of fresh hell is this?" Ninja Grace says. "There should be an 11th commandment for dads. Thou shalt not walk out on your family and then turn up 4 years later in a glamorous TV job. This is all kinds of wrong." How can it be wrong? I blink back my confusion. Even Moses would be happy that Dad is back in our lives. Surely it's epic. All right, it's not exactly how we imagined welcoming him home. No fairy cakes, the rainbow-coloured hundreds and thousands bleeding into vanilla frosting, and no writing his name out in sparklers, but he's still under our noses, and we can see him every day. Must watch TV, that's what it is. Ninja Grace is out of her tiny mind if she doesn't realise how brilliant this could be for us. In fact, this is the best thing that's happened to me since Mum bought me a mossy green skateboard with high performance bearings. Not pleased to see him then? I ask. A string of saliva stretches inside Ninja Grace's mouth. "One taxi straight to the nut house for Daniel Hope, if he thinks our dad being on TV is a good thing," she says. The string snaps. Grace wasn't always Ninja Grace, by the way. Once upon a time she was as normal as a sister could be. But all that changed when she turned 13. That's when she turned into a word ninja. By the way, a word ninja is someone who uses words as a weapon. Whatever you say, the word ninja will hit back at you with their insult arrows. Think you're smart? Think again, because a word ninja will wound you instantly with their cutting remarks. That is exactly what Grace Hope turned into when she became a teenager. And that is exactly why Ninja Grace is screaming at me now. That man is dead to this family. Word ninja fires a dagger at my back. And you'd better accept it if you know what's good for you. Ninja Grace is shooting from the lip. But whatever the ninja says, this time it will not be enough to stop me thinking that this is brilliant. If Dad has been catapulted to fame, then his children will be famous too. The kids at school will beg for my autograph. From this day forward, I'll be a star at Our Lady of the Portal School. I can see it all now. I'll have my own webpage. I'll go super viral. Perhaps I'll have my own newspaper. The Sun, I'll call it. The boys will ask me to be the captain of the football team, and the girls will write Mrs. Dan Hope in their notebooks. What's more, the dinner ladies will put extra helpings of chips and curry on my plate. And I'll say, oh no, I couldn't possibly eat that much. And then they'll say, I can, because they love watching my famous dad on TV. I think this is what Mum calls to curry favour. To be honest, Dad always wanted to be on the telly, so I guess it shouldn't have been that much of a surprise. Interviewing, dealing with the public and talking, he was good at the lot. Mind you, we didn't think he'd leave his job as a journalist on the local newspaper. How wrong we were. Fast forward 4 years, job and children left behind, and wham! Hello, Star TV man! It's the leaving behind your children bit that hurts the most. I was only 7 when Dad walked out. The day started like any other, but ended up with me sitting at the top of the stairs with Grace. She was 12 and still normal in those days. Drawers were banging in the kitchen, and I remember thinking Mum must be angry, and I didn't want to eat the dinner she was cooking if she was so mad about it. It had to be cottage pie. Cottage pie always made me angry too, because the mince was full of rubbery bits that bounced off my teeth. Grace said the correct name for the rubbery bits was a gristle. There was this doof, doof sound, and a noise like someone whistling through a blade of grass. And Grace looked at me and said she really didn't think this was about cottages or gristle. Dad was trying to calm Mum down, but really he was cranking her up. Over and over again, Mum said she was very upset about the other woman. In the end, I thought they were talking a foreign language because Grace said, "It's all Greek to me." And my bum was so numb, I knew if I didn't move, I'd never be able to straighten up or walk like I wasn't a baboon. But Grace said I couldn't leave, as it was getting exciting because Dad was talking about going on a whole new adventure, while Mum was shouting about playing around. Grace said this was great news, because it would mean fun for us all. Maybe we'd be going on a family holiday. Only then Dad was shouting about being on his own, and I wasn't sure that sounded like the sort of laugh-a-minute holiday that I wanted. Not once did he mention caravans or candy floss, or even us. I didn't hear what Dad said next because his voice was flat, and there was a thump that sounded like a big ham dropping on the kitchen table, and Mum was crying, and the drone of it went up and down as if she was single-handedly flying a light aircraft. And Mum shouted that she was sick of his extracurricular activities, and Dad said he couldn't take it anymore and he'd had enough of her histrionics. When I pressed her on the matter, Grace whispered that histrionics was a subject at school. At that moment, the kitchen door flew open and Grace slithered snake-like on her belly towards the bedroom. So she wasn't spotted by Dad, but me, I couldn't move. Dad opened the front door and let it slam behind him, and the daffodils on the wallpaper, they vibrated with the force And I returned to my bedroom and I was glad the whole thing was over, and I vowed I'd never eat a cottage pie or speak a foreign language, study histrionics or walk like a baboon. Well, maybe I'd walk like a baboon, because that could be kind of funny. But after that afternoon, things went a bit weird. We weren't allowed to get chips from the local chip shop, the Frying Squad, anymore. According to Grace, who had sussed out the whole thing, Dad had run off with the woman who worked there, and Busty Babs was her name, and Grace said luring men in with fried spunts was her game. Grace said Dad had had his chips. And that was that. I argued that I'd had my chips from there too. Grace said that my chips weren't his chips, and Dad wasn't coming back. In fact, he was gone forever. I shrugged because, at 7 years old, I thought forever would last a week or a month. How wrong I was. Forever did mean forever.